Hello, everyone. Derek, I think you will need to adjust your screen just a little bit. Yep.
A little bit more. I can't see your whole face, Derek.
I want to show off my T-shirt though.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my God. Yes. Cool.
Well, I'll show it every now and then just to give people a thrill.
Right.
So I'm just going to do a quick intro as usual, if that's okay. I just wanted to welcome everyone to the TBS Pioneer Series. We're so happy to continue this one with Elaine Bomberry, who is joining us from Vancouver this evening. And our president here at the Toronto Blues Society, Derek Andrews, is here with us tonight as well to conduct the interview with his questions. I'll just do a usual quick housekeeping. The interview will take around 45 minutes, and then we will open up the floor for your questions during the last 15 minutes. And if you're watching us on Zoom, if you're registered, please don't hesitate to put your questions on the chat box. And we are streaming through our TBS Facebook page as well simultaneously. So we will be moderating that comment section as well, so you can put your questions there as well. We will try to read everything and tackle all the questions tonight. And I just wanted to thank you again to our year-round sponsors, Toronto Arts Council, Ontario Arts Council, as well as Government of Canada. And I will leave the virtual mic to Derek without further ado, but just wanted to quickly remind that you can actually get a tax receipt for your donations to TBS, because we're a not-for-profit charitable organization celebrating our 35th year in the music industry. So you can do that online. It's very easy through our website, torontobluesociety.com. And any contribution is really important because, you know, this is a very challenging time for the industry. So we're all trying to survive here during the pandemic. And just the very latest information for you, all of the folks, is actually you can support us by purchasing a new TBS face mask, which has the 35th anniversary logo on it, and they're only $10. And I will put the link down below on the comment section, as well as the chat box. So I think that's it for me, and I'm just going to turn to Derek to begin the interview.
Thanks, Huma. I'm just looking at my screen to see what whether we're running this gallery or how prominent my face is on the screen. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's very
Elaine?
Yes.
All right. I want to start off just to acknowledge, do a land acknowledgement, because we have come to understand and educate ourselves about the issues in the Indigenous community through the Truth and Reconciliation work that has begun to educate settlers and myself. I live in Cabbagetown in Toronto, which is between the Don and the Humber rivers, rivers that brought Indigenous people together and made this place a meeting place. It's the traditional lands of the Mississauga New Credit, and has an enormous history over 10,000s of years of Indigenous people protecting this land. And I know we're going to talk about other parts of the country, and particular Six Nations, but as a settler, I feel it is my responsibility to acknowledge this and carry on and celebrate one of the great, I think you just got called an auntie online by Shoshone Kish, no less, Elaine.
Peace, sister.
So yes, Elaine, we're actually replacing a concert that was supposed to happen because the Rez Blues series is rolling every Friday evening, celebrating the 25th anniversary. And we're going to talk about Rez Blues and the 25th anniversary and you and your life. We had a nice little rehearsal earlier today, and I got about 8 different chapters that I want to get through. But welcome, and say hello to the folks and tell us where you are and how you're doing.
Sego ani, everybody. I'm Elaine Bomberry, and I am living and loving life here on the West Coast, living on the traditional unceded territories of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam peoples here in Vancouver. I'm actually living right here on the Squamish Rez right now, and my husband and I, Murray Porter, have been here for like 15 years, and but originally both of us are from Six Nations, and we sure miss home right now. It's been over a year since we've been home.
Elaine, you and I go way back, so we're going to kind of talk insider talk from time to time.
That's okay.
So, but we'll try not to do that and just kind of, acknowledge your work and kind of big you up a little bit tonight and enjoy some moments. You've been recognized by a number of times, and we're going to talk about that. You're the oldest of four, and Six Nations. Tell us about growing up in Six Nations and a bit about your personal family life.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I didn't grow up in Six Nations. I grew up in downtown Toronto. I grew up in the Annex area. I went to Palmerston Public School. It wasn't until our family was a bit older and I was already off to college that my family actually moved back to the reserve. But I always had two reserves. My late mother was Anishinaabe Kwe from Chimney Sing, Christian Island in Georgian Bay. And my dad, obviously, Six Nations. So we had two reserves within an hour and a half proximity of Toronto. And because of the way it was back in the day, it wasn't cool for my dad to marry my mom because my mom was Anishinaabe Kwe, Ojibwe, and she was Catholic, and my dad was traditional Longhouse. So it's like any religions, two different religions marrying each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's why we grew up in Toronto.
Yeah, Christian Island. I know it. I used to go there with my kids, and
How beautiful that is.
up in Georgian Bay. Yeah. Um, well, and growing up in the Annex. Actually, I just learned something I didn't know. I mean, I probably knew that and forgot it. You probably told me sometime back there. You've had a long relationship with the Toronto Blues Society. The Homa has. She was rolling some visuals, and we'll probably put them back up on the screen at some point over our hour of chat that we've got here. But there was one there from 2003, a young Elaine Bomberry. And it was when you received the Blues Booster Award for your work.
Mean this?
Oh my goodness. Cool.
There was going to be a way to figure it out what to do, right? But, woo, there it is. She's a beauty.
Sweet. That's 2003. You're well along in working the project, but let's go all the way back to the Edgewater. And today when we were talking, the trigger for producing the event involved our friend Janny Lozon, who was on the board of the Toronto Blues Society. And you were reminding me that you came into the office, you weren't on an official capacity. You and Janny came and you said with your sisters and talked about the idea.
Yes. It was just so amazing that Janny was there on the board. And that's when you were all creating to the Women's Blues Review at the same time, right? And it was about bringing underrepresented musicians, blues musicians, to the platform, the stages, right? So you guys did that, and she was also instrumental. She said she knew I was already doing stuff with blues musicians, and so just for both of us to talk about it and say, let's do this pitch to the Toronto Blues Society and have a show, right? Let's have a show together. And so both my sisters, Tracy and Nancy Bomberry, were with me I had to have backup, And so when we did the pitch, and I remember us discussing that with you guys, with your board, and figuring out what size of a venue we would have. Would it be like 250 or 300? And I was wanting a club for like 500-600 people. And then when you guys were saying to me 250 people, I said, that's my friends and family alone. You know, and what happened that night, Derek? We were sold out at 8:30.
I wonder, Homa, if you could just flash a few of those photos onto the screen while we're talking. I'm not sure if that's easy to do, but the Edgewater, which is at the foot of Roncesvalles, in where King and Queen kind of end on the way to the Kingsway, and I think it's a Howard Johnson hotel now. But
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It must have been a hotel upstairs, but a bar that was friendly enough. Here we go. There's one of the images. Oh, there we are. We're on the night of. Great, Huma. Thank you. Hey, why don't you just walk us through? We'll talk about the venue, but who's on the screen there? Can you see that?
Oh my God, this was amazing. And with Janny, of course, she said we've got to bring our drum. You know, like because that's the root of the blues, right? That's the heartbeat of Mother Earth, right? That's our drum. On the left here, we have Jameas Piquet with the hand drum, Gloria May Eshkabach, fabulous actress, Janny Lizon there in the middle, our team leader, and beside her is the late Tina Louise Bomberry. Unfortunately, she passed away 2 years ago. Went on to become a regular on North of 60. Leland Bell from Wikwemikong, Anishinaabe man, amazing guitar player, and behind him is the most amazing Peter Christmas of Mi'kmaq. I remember everybody's names.
Nicely done. I think there's another image that might have Murray in it.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh my God, see that? Oh my God.
With a nice hat.
Yes. Oh my God. Now he's all silver.
Aren't we all?
And that's Bobby Salt there beside him.
Great.
See how jam-packed it was? All you see is heads there.
Okay, here's some more faces.
Yeah, we have Carter Bomberry there on the left. He now plays with the Healers. Levi Agoni, who's an actor, and that's my brother there beside him, Mike Bomberry, and then again Peter Christmas. Yeah, it was so much fun. Oh my God, feels like yesterday.
Sold out at 8:30. The room was packed. I think it held between 500 and 600 people. It was quite a big bar and just jammed. You couldn't move around. It was pretty intense.
It was awesome. And then what I also very vividly remember from that evening was at 10:30 that night. You pulled me aside and you said, okay, you want to do another one of these Rez Blues? We can do it in 10 months. And I went, yes. And then we went to Danforth, and that old bingo hall or whatever it was. And we had like 1,200 people, the second Rez Blues. It was wild. It was awesome.
Homa, flash a few of those covers because you've been on the cover of the Maple Blues newsletter. There's Murray in '93 for the first Rez Blues.
Oops, was that out loud?
That is Murray, right?
Yes, that's Murray.
An early edition of the newsletter. Blues Society started in '85. Oh, and there's Janny.
And now she's got beautiful long silver hair, like just beautiful. And also a host here on our series as well.
She's always been a beautiful woman, and that silver hair right now, white silver hair, is really striking. It's only making her look better, but right there you can tell why she's got had a career on the stage, and she was performing music as much as theater. I'm not exactly sure what the balance was, but there's just as you suggested in '94, a cover story where Janny was featured, and all the details are in there. And I don't know if those things are archived. Okay, this is 2003, and there must have been. Oh, you know what? This is when you were going to Chicago as a result of the Blues Summit.
As a result of the Blues Summit, thanks to Toronto Blues Society, of course. Yes. Oh my God, that's when
Barry Dolan's.
Man, Barry Dolan's. Yes, he was the man everyone wanted to meet, and I had no idea what he looked like. But I was sitting at a table with all the blues radio guys. I was sitting with our dear friend, the late John Valentine, rest in paradise, John. David Bernard and Brian Blaine. I was sitting with the three of them, and I said, "Where's this Barry Dolan's guy? What does he look like?" And they showed me, pointed him out. But what I had been in touch with him for like 3 years. I was sending him the blues cassette tapes back in those days, right? And so just to meet him and for him to come to the Murray's showcase with the Pappy John's band, it was just phenomenal.
There you are.
Oh no, no, look at me, don't see me. Oh my God, I was very young. Oh, when was that?
04, and that's when you got your booster.
Oh,
Booster.
okay. Oh my God. So,
I'm not trying to roast you here. This is just the reality.
I know. Look how cute I was.
You're still cute.
Oh, whatever. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about.
Let's for a second. Let's talk about the Blues Summit and that experience. We'll roll a few more of your posters and just let them go. And then when we run out, you're back. I want to talk some more about the Edgewater, but the Blues Summit, for anybody who's kind of just getting acquainted with the Toronto Blues Society, we're 35 years old, and we started a program called the Blues with a Feeling Award that became eventually the Maple Blues Awards. And so many people were coming together at the Maple Blues Awards that we decided to have a conference. And we were to have had one this year coming. They were happening every other year, but it was a way to help artists connect with festival organizers. And the gentleman we just referred to, Barry Dolan's, was the producer of the Chicago Blues Festival, the biggest and most notorious of all the blues festivals, notorious in an impressive way. And you were after him to get down, and he saw you and liked you and invited you. And there were other invitations that came from that year, I think, when we were talking today.
Yeah, and he had Barry, when I was talking to him about the whole Indigenous influence on the blues, and I was just finishing up my radio documentary on the subject. And I told him that there's just such a wealth of talent, and people don't really understand or acknowledge the very early roots of the blues. It was a cross-cultural thing, with runaway African slaves and indigenous people down in the South. And so when I was telling him about this, he goes, "Well, come, I want you to be part of this workshop right at the Chicago Blues Festival." And he goes, "I can't pay you, but I'll give you a room." And that was good enough for me. I was going anyway because I was the agent for Murray and Pappy John's band. But it was just a bonus, and then that started it. And so we've been able to do these Rez Blues workshops over the years. We've done them at many music festivals and also universities as well. Like 2 years ago, last year, we were at McGill University School of Music to talk about the subject. So,
Just to clarify, Murray got invited and he was paid to play on the Petrillo bandshell stage, or do you remember what stage he played? Or one of the side stages?
In Chicago?
Yeah.
No, I can't remember. No, it was one of the side stages. Yeah.
And you were featured as a guest speaker. That's very cool. Well, we're going to talk about Smithsonian and other stuff like that, but let's go back again to the Edgewater for a moment, just because that was a magical night, and it created an energy that was remarkable and probably energized you, not just to have a bigger audience the following year, but for 25 more years, and all the shows that you produced, a television show, etc. But it was, I asked you about your favorite moment from that night, and you were saying it was the jam at the end of the night, or was it the end of the night, or when do people jam?
Yeah, it was at the end of the night when everyone, I think that one photo popped up there with all the ladies and the band. That's, just it spoke volumes about what was going to happen in the future, I think, for Rez Blues, because Rez Blues, we could never predict who was going to show up. You know what I mean? Like there'd be guest musicians coming through town or whatever, then boom, we'd get them up. But I can count really, almost every show had a guest performer. This one time we did Rez Blues at the Silver Dollar. I want to give props right now, proper props to Mr. Gary Kendall from Down Child Blues Band and all the work he did at the Silver Dollar. And all those years I got to work with him, and he'd say, hey, we got a date over here. Can you do something? And you as well. You guys have been so instrumental in my whole career and everything. I don't know what I'd be doing if I didn't even know you guys, but with the Silver Dollar was just what was interesting about it is it used to be an old Indian bar downstairs, right? That's where everyone would come. Back in the day, you'd see people in business suits, you'd see people in their sweats, and but like it was a place for our people to gather. And it started I think in the late 60s, actually the 60s, when people were leaving residential schools and trying to go home, and they didn't fit in at home. So a lot of people would come to Toronto. And so there'd be dances and stuff they would have through the late Pat Turner from Six Nations had a North American Indian club, right? And you know what, Derek? I never even told you this story. It was right around the corner from the Silver Dollar where the dances were, right? And so that was a very familiar area. So for us to do Rez Blues, after it was an Indian bar downstairs, it just made perfect sense. Everyone knew where to go. And you know what we called it? The Buck.
Yeah, right.
So that's my little Silver Dollar story.
It might come back. The developers promised apparently to put a live music space, hopefully with a little more credibility than what they did with the King Eddie in Calgary, where they kept the shell of the building there, but it doesn't have any of the character.
So did they keep the Silver Dollar neon sign?
I believe the sign has been saved, yes. And there was a negotiation. The councillor, was pushing the developer to, agree to certain conditions. And it's a legacy, and we've lost so many venues in Toronto, and it's a big city that's growing, and there's a lot of change, but it's a shame to lose the character of the city.
That exactly. And when I was in Toronto there, was it a year ago or 2 years ago in November for the Juno screening meeting, Blues Committee meeting. And I was with Julie, Dr. Julie Blue, and we went to go, she wanted me to see some friends of hers. So that was the first time I was in a car going along College Street and going by Spadina, and to not see the Silver Dollar there, I almost cried.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like, it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah. Well, the Elmo's still there, and it's become an oasis for a rich developer. But I want to get to something that I know you've talked about, and we'll get to the workshops and other educational stuff you've done. But there might be some people from outside the Indigenous community dialing in tonight, and what you taught me and what I came to learn. I'm just going to show my shirt again because I showed this off at the beginning. I bought this at a Snotty Nose Rez Kids show that Jarrett Martin I was producing. Why blues? Like what, because a lot of people, who, even organizers who needed an education, they might be familiar now with Tribe Called Red and Tanya Tagaq and some of the artists that are making a name, and there's broad radio shows now that can educate people. But we saw that there was something happening with blues in the Indigenous community, and it's been a vein of interest and activity. It's part of what the series that we're doing right now across every Friday night, like all the other Fridays of this month and next month, are featuring artists, and we'll maybe list them off in a moment. But is there a reason why, or do you want to talk about the relationship between the Indigenous community and blues? Is it why is it a natural fit, or what what is the relationship there that might be helpful for people to understand?
Yeah, I think I touched on it a little bit before in talking about, the heartbeat. What's the heartbeat of the blues? Dun, 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 dun. That's heartbeat of Mother Earth is the blues, and and I'm not the first one to talk about this. This whole cross cultural pollination of our musics. The first one I heard speak about it was a fellow named Tom Buntsman, who's Abenaki from Vermont. And he's the one who enlightened me and said, the blues is our music too, and we own that. Because what happened with the runaway African slaves, when they were in the plantations, their drums were taken away from them,
Except for Congo Square in New Orleans.
Yes, exactly. Every Sunday, one day a week, that's what they got, right? And so that whole cross-pollination, like, how do we not know from that came the birth of the blues? When as the slaves were after emancipation and coming up north on the underground, they call it the Underground Railroad. But what is it really? The Underground Railroad are old Indian trails. And Porofé also enlightened me on that, because those were her people, the Tuscarora people who helped bring the slaves north. And they talk about that whole thing and the Northern Star and everything, but that was all our trails leading to the north, and it was the Tuscarora people right there on the Niagara River who helped the slaves come to Canada. And then our people were on the other side to help them, and then so again, like, how do we not know as a result of this cross-cultural exchange came the birth of the blues?
Have you ever done a panel with Diana Braithwaite? Because the Braithwaites and the Blackburns and Harrison Kennedy's families are all connected to Underground Railroad.
Oh no!
Generations back, yeah.
Can you hook us all up?
Yeah.
That would be great.
We're working with Diana on a multi-year project that she's close to you right now. She's in Duncan with Chris Whiteley. They were on tour and have decided to stay in BC. You're reminding me of one of the names from back in the day, who's, I believe, in Santa Fe or maybe Los Angeles, Gary Farmer, who's probably the first blues musician, one of the first Indigenous people that I know. I worked with Shingoose and Duke Redbird and a bunch of others in the 70s.
The Mariposa days.
Yeah, but Gary, was a blues harmonica player. Would he have played around at Six Nations, do you know, when he was here?
Yes, he does, but he's everywhere, right?
Movies.
He has really improved. He's really good.
Oh, you mean his harmonica playing or his acting?
Both, all of the above.
Well, he's a superb actor, and some people might have seen him in Jim Jarmusch's movies, but we digress. The points that you were just raising and the Underground Railroad connection, that's fascinating. We should definitely follow up on that. But it helped kind of pull you into, I want to get to the Smithsonian in DC and some of the international work that you've done, because Rez Blues became a television show for APTN?
Yes, the Aboriginal People's Television Network, yes.
What year was that?
That was, our first season was 2005, I believe. 2005, yeah, and then it took us a few years to do the second season after we got renewed. 2005 to 2008 or so. Yeah.
Okay.
So we produced 13 one-hour shows on Indigenous blues. So for the second season, and comedy as well, because that's for entertainment, that's a good fit, right? Music and comedy. So that's why for the second season, I got our comedians to actually be our hosts as well, because I seen it on television. The comedians make the best hosts of any show or, award show or music show.
So, your connection to the Smithsonian and the festival that invited you down there, the one that I guess it's in DC, that's I guess it's an annual summer festival. Was what came first, the APTN first, or the recognition in the States, and are they connected?
Oh no, in the States. And it was in 1992 actually that both myself and Marie Porter were invited down to the Smithsonian for, it was called the Festival of American Folklife. And a fellow named Tom Benham was working for the Smithsonian, and I don't somehow heard about us or whatever, came up and took us out for lunch and invited Marie to perform, and then for me to be an MC. And I had never been an MC in my whole life for a concert stage, so that was really kind of cool. And we were down there for like a 2-week festival, and this is before leading up to the National Museum of the American Indian, and they were already those plans were obviously in place to do, to build this our own museum. So when the museum did open, we got invited back, and amazing, again, another 2-week festival, and everybody was there, like everybody. It was just phenomenal. They had a whole hotel for all of the artists. It was great. Buffy St. Marie, Six Nations women singers, Sadie Buck, and oh my God, there was an endless list. It was just fabulous.
I think that was 2004. You said, and 92 was when you got first of all. So it took a dozen years for them to pull that building together.
Oh yeah, I think it was probably in longer development than that, probably to pull it off and everything. But it was, through the years, so we got invited back for different programs, leading up to the actual launch opening of the museum. And then once the museum opened, we got invited back. Our friend Tim Johnson from Six Nations was a programmer there, and he wanted to do a show, a weekend called Blues Roots and Beyond, or something like that, about exploring the early roots of the blues. And at that time, also invited was George Leach and Carolina and the Chocolate Drops, and with Rianne Giddens, who's now a superstar, right? She's just amazing. So yeah, it was really cool to be invited back over the years.
Yeah, we're sitting here in late October, and Rianne was literally on the radio on CBC this morning talking about how she's now the new artistic director of the Silk Road project that Yo-Yo Ma had developed. And it allowed her to go into, from the perspective of a early American music and the banjo, because of course she has spoken about that being an African instrument and educating people about its evolution, and it's fascinating. She's a superstar. You're right. I want to talk about the Juno category and how that came together, because I know that was one of the things that you felt, you were getting recognized for your role as an organizer. And I'll just preface this with the story I was telling you earlier today, where there was one category for all roots and traditional music. We got Mariposa and the Blues Society lobbied together, and we got one category, and it included blues and gospel and folk and singer-songwriters and Celtic and all these indigenous reggae world. And then eventually, many of those subgenres got their own Juno category, and you were involved in developing the Indigenous category with Buffy and Shingus.
Yes, and that was so cool that year, because we all worked. Oh, Mary's bringing this over here.
Speak of the devil, there's a Juno award.
There's a Juno from Buffy St. Marie, like, yeah. But that was just amazing. Oh, my husband's jealous now. Look, My husband's showing his.
We can't see the inscription so nicely, but oh, okay.
That's Marie.
Murray.
Okay, Marie, you can put your Juno away now. You can put that one away.
They should be on in the background behind you to sort of as a shrine or something.
That's what we were talking about. We were trying to figure out where I was going to set up and everything.
Why don't you just get them to stand there and hold them and
Mel Murray, okay, come and hold these Junos, will you?
your butler.
Because everyone thinks there's just one, right?
There we go. There we go.
Murray?
Wait, this is the first time I've ever touched one.
Go touch it. Touch it now. See, look.
Very good. Okay.
There. All right. Exit stage left.
All right, Murray, you got enough stage time. Get out of here.
He's not used to this. It's about me for a change. Oh my God.
Excellent. So a Juno award, a Juno category, 94, and ever since then, there's been an acknowledgement, and bumps and wrinkles, and I know Tribe were reluctant to be categorized, and there's been other chat, but when William Prince won in the Indigenous, I have a picture of William on my
cool.
my desk here, double nominee, Contemporary Roots and Indigenous Music Album. He's not just an Indigenous guy, he was the best singer-songwriter of that year.
Yes. And that's something like when people try to say that having an Indigenous category ghettoizes our music, that's not true. We need access, and the artist needs something to aspire to, so I've never felt it was a ghettoization of our music at all.
You've watched things progress. I mean, I'll take the glass half full approach, and probably easy to take the other approach as well. But we've been together at the Folk Music Ontario conference, where I'll never forget you saying to a little gathering of people, look, Ontario festivals in particular, I'm going to remind you, and maybe this quote will trigger, because you said to the other folks who were listening, wherever you are in Ontario, you're not very far from a community, from a reservation. So you don't have to work that hard to find the content that you think is so difficult to involve in your festival and invite and build a bridge into and back and forth between Indigenous communities and the folk community. I think it was influential. I think it's, when Sadie Buck was on the cover of their conference magazine, I think it was a huge breakthrough. But it must feel like a lot of hard work to have made those changes, a Juno category and everything else.
Yeah, and it was about, again, it's just about access, and for our artists, to have a platform where they can go and they can sing and they have access to all these different, awards and then festivals as well. And I know, coming back to the whole festival comments, like I would encourage those artistic directors, and like I would say, I look at each of your festivals and I see like 3 reserves around your proximity of your festival. Have you done any outreach to our communities, audience development, board development, right? Those kind of words. And everyone just went no. And I can't remember who it was. The first time I did that talk, and then he goes, nope, big fat 0. Because we haven't done anything, and I think that was one of the first times I ever got to speak about it. I think it was at a folk festival conference or something like that.
That's exactly. I'm remembering sitting at the table with you, and I had encouraged you to be there, and TBS has been there supporting Indigenous artists as well. But it's been baby steps. I think Truth and Reconciliation is an example of the kind of depth of education that is required. But the same thing has been happening in the music industry, and in our niche of the blues community. You've been at the head of that. The Canadian Aboriginal Awards is another area that where the communities kind of pulled it together, and you've been an advisor there.
The Canadian, no, actually, no, not with those awards. Those were the first awards that emerged after our Juno category, the Canadian Aboriginal Music Awards. Through, remember they did the Sky Dome powwow thing?
Yeah.
But now, right now, I'm signed on to work with the Summer Solstice Indigenous Music Awards out of Ottawa. We were supposed to happen this past June at the National Arts Center, but again, because of COVID, it's been postponed. So we're going to juggle it and figure out how we're going to do it. It more than likely will be virtual for next June, but we're going to do it during the summer solstice, obviously, season.
Late June.
Yeah.
We're gonna run into the question section just in case anybody does want to pop in. I don't know. Oh, there is a question there. When was the first time you realized you were meant to be part of show business? Elaine.
That's hilarious. Probably in grade 2. I was the narrator of a school play in grade 2. And I just loved standing at the podium and telling everyone what's going to happen with our play. So I think it goes back that far. But I was always, I was never a performer. Actually, I had a little bit of my life. I never told you this either, Derek. I used to play classical violin.
Well, you grew up in the annex, so maybe that's
exactly Palmer's.
You come by that.
Yeah. But I did from grade 3 to grade 10. I played in the orchestra, the youth orchestra in my school. And I actually got to go to Massey Hall and watch the Toronto Symphony Orchestra. And wish I was there. But anyway, that's a lifetime ago.
Can I ask a question?
What?
Was it
between
a fiddle and a violin?
What?
No.
Oh.
We've got a question from the floor, it seems.
Yeah, that was a question from the floor. Okay, he's gone.
Your trip to France, I want to kind of double back to how we've been engaged and you've been involved through Murray with the Blues Summit, because Jean Guillermo from the festival Blues sur Scène came to the Silver Dollar when it would have been a Rez Blues night, I guess, that we brought him to.
Actually, you actually instigated the date because Murray had performed at the previous Blues Summit for Chicago. I mean, everyone wanted Barry Dolan's, right?
We don't do 2 years in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So we had to give it a break. And then you encouraged me to do a Rez Blues on the Friday night before the Blues Summit. And then you had picked up Jean at the airport from Paris and brought him right over to our Rez Blues with Pappy Johns. And he stayed there the whole night. I couldn't believe it. It was like his schedule must have been so wonky, but you brought him there. And who gets the gig? Murray Porter and Pappy John's band, right? And it was just phenomenal. And we were there for like, I think 2 weeks, just east of Paris, Met Le Jolie for Blues sur Scène, yeah.
For anybody puzzled by some of what we're sketching, Blue Summit is now on Friday nights. So when Elaine did this set, the Friday night, the Electrify label, Andrew Galloway had also been doing sort of off event shows, and I knew that there was an opportunity if we could get the Silver Dollar and you could organize a few bands, it might be interesting. And lo and behold, his plane landed, and I picked him up, and yet you're right, he would have been suffering jet lag from Europe, and that's so great. So here's another question that's come in from the floor or from the internet. We're talking about young Indigenous musicians, and what can you say to young Indigenous musicians from your vantage as advice on how they should look at their careers, or how can you, as an elder, so to speak, guide them on any kind of general direction, what would that be for if you were a young Indigenous musician?
You know what I would say is that you gotta hone your instrument, like play your instruments, play them daily, start writing songs. You know, we're in this whole wonky age and everyone's going through so much crap. You know, let's write that stuff down. That's coming from your soul. Like everyone's hurting right now and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next year even, right? So I think it's time that people just, you know, just bring out what you're feeling, share it through your music, share it through your words. That's what I would say. And become a member of SOCAN. I'm a lyricist now, Derek.
So
I'm a member of SOCAN.
why become a member of SOCAN? Just unpack that for us for a sec.
Oh, just to, oh my God, just protect your music. You make a little bit of, you know, a few bucks, and you never know, you know, what's going to happen.
I'm gonna be the what do you got there?
Murray just brought it to me. I forgot about this.
Indian Reservation Blues and more. What is that? Is that connected to the Smithsonian work?
No, this is from Dixie Frog in France with Portefeuille. Portefeuille and I worked on this together. It's a box set, right? It's a 3 CD box set.
And who put that out?
Dixie Frog Records.
Okay, sorry, I zoned.
Guy the American.
Yeah, Dixie Frog. I met that chap through Holger Peterson. He's sort of the Stony Plain of France in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is like over 5 years ago or so. And we had like 35 artists on it over 3 CDs. You don't have this?
Well, I probably got it at the time. And as you can see on my back, the wall behind me, I have a few CDs.
A few.
So you were an advisor on that project?
Yes, both Portefeuille and I. Yeah, it was really, really cool, and it was interesting, like to go through this, and even Portefeuille will confirm this. Even just to talk about the artwork that was going to be on this, they wanted the old Edward Curtis photos. You know, the end of the trail photos. Those really kind of sad looking photos, and we said no, we don't want that, and then they were telling us, oh, we know our market, we know the European market, and that's what they want to see, right? And so Portefeuille had a friend and who could do like amazing stuff. So so we were able to convince them to do use our contemporary digital artists for this. So isn't that cool? And you know what it says? Rez Blues on one of the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there at the bottom.
That image of the person playing into the horn, is that made up artwork or is that an actual photo of?
It's an actual photo. It's an actual photo from back. What's that guy's name? I'm
Lomax? Alan Lomax?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So it's brought up to date. Can you see that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's good.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah, so all kinds of artists were in here. Gary Farmer was in here too. Clyde the Slide Roulette, Murray Porter, George Leach, Derek Miller, Keith Cola. And it's gorgeous. Right? It's a booklet. It's like a 30-page booklet. Like no Canadian music label would have had the balls to do this for our artists. You know what I'm saying? They didn't. No one. It was overseas. This happened only in France, and you can't buy it in Canada, obviously.
What's the title? So somebody's asking where they can get that. I'm gonna just do a search while we're talking. What's the actual title of the record?
It's called Indian Reservation Blues and More. And from actually the last I heard, unfortunately, I don't think the record label survived.
Yeah, Well,
No.
my Google search is showing,
Nothing?
no, it comes up. I mean, it's at Discogs, but it does look like it's kind of passé, and
Yeah.
but
Bad. But
buy the CD. You can buy the CD. Well, so the folks who are dialing in and wanting to know will. Oh,
I wanted to say one more thing about the CD.
yeah.
Was that each CD is video enhanced. So back in the day when you used to be able to put a CD in your computer or, whatever, there's a video, there's interviews on here.
Yeah.
It's like 8 to 10 minute videos on each one of them. And here is the Indian list. I don't think you can see that, but that's a poem by Alex Jacobs Mohawk, who all of these words are the words we use to describe ourselves. Or no, people who call us as Indigenous people, what they call us. And then the other part is what we call ourselves.
Yeah. Just to repeat what, for those people who are looking to track that down, the French record company is called Dixie Frog. And the full title of the record, if you want to match Dixie Frog, just repeat that, Elaine.
Indian Reservation Blues and More.
3 CD compilation. It's one of many great projects that have been done. And, I mentioned I'm a glass half full kind of guy because I see progress, and your hard work has paid off in developments, and you've received awards, and we're doing this series as an anniversary of 25 years. It's actually 25 plus.
Plus, yes.
Because
it's Indian time Rez Blues. It's all good. I love it.
A pandemic getting in the way is certainly a factor. Homa, can you pull up the poster for the series so that folks can see everything? Because it started off with Murray and Murray Porter, and we apparently he's close at hand, and we are standing in for an artist who had a health issue, but Digging Roots was up second, and they did an outstanding show. These shows are still available on Facebook, so you can through the TBS. I think it's our YouTube page that is the best access.
Cool.
Yeah, and Crystal was up. There's the poster. That's an earlier edition of it because
that's the latest.
Is it?
Yeah, because Porterface next week, Billy Joe, George, and then Josh Miller's the last one, and Poppy Jones.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah,
Crystal, who's actually watching, she's apparently posted a comment that she's enjoying this evening.
Shout out to Crystal, Dwayne, and Jaja. I loved watching Jaja go to sleep, by the way. That was so sweet. My heart just melted. Hello, also Denise Bolduc and Mel Kirkland from Vancouver Blues Around Town. Just people are popping notes to me. So excellent.
From Winnipeg, Billy Joel Green is we got into the program just to explain to folks what part of what happened, because the Canada Council has supported this show. We had the idea to acknowledge your 25th anniversary, and we put in a proposal, and we reached out to Indigenous Performing Arts Association and CKRZ, who are both partners on promoting the series. And we were supposed to put it all together in one night, in one venue, April 16 at Lula Lounge. And that would have been a great party.
Yeah, but only 500 people would have seen it.
Well, not even that. I mean, you would have been standing on each other. It's more like 250, 300, but it's a beautiful room, and it would have been a great night. But here we are sharing music, and we're so happy to see how it's all coming together. Josh Miller and Pappy Jones rescheduled to the final night, but George Leach and his fans can get together on the 13th of November, as you can see on the screen. But Billy Joe from Winnipeg on the 6th of November, and Parafay next week. How do you feel about that series? It looks like a great representation of your history.
My God, I couldn't be happier. I'm like a proud auntie over here, you know, like it couldn't have been better. You know, it's unfortunate that the bands aren't playing before live audiences, which they miss. But at the same time, they're garnering so many more fans, you know, and more people are watching Rez Blues than if we were a one night show in downtown Toronto, you know, but also at the same time, I must say that there's a lot of artists too who could have been part of this series as well. And so maybe that's something we could explore, you know? Can we do this on a regular basis? Because there's a lot more Indigenous blues artists who aren't a part of this show. And, you know, and I just say apologies to them because a lot of people got a hold of me and said, why am I not on this show? You know, and everything. But there's a lot more Indigenous blues talent out there.
Yeah, maybe we can get Gary Farmer to come up from the States and blow some harp. And, you know, I know, you know, Jace Martin at Six Nations has, you know, commented to me. And
we got Clyde the Slide Roulette, and, you know, there's just so many artists. And Kaylee Cardinal, you know, in Edmonton, you know, it'd just be fabulous.
Kaylee's a discovery for me. I can't remember who introduced me, but you've inspired me to, well, and I have to give credit to Shoshone and Raven, who've also been educating me and inspiring me in my work to, you know, create space, as Shoshone said somewhere, and through the Project Mondial Montreal, where we have an Indigenous Sounds series. Murray's performed there, and we've had. I think it's about 35 or 40 artists have performed from the Indigenous community, and it's a component of what we turn people onto from the Europe and the States. In fact, there's promoters in Chicago and New York who now do land acknowledgements because they saw it in Montreal at our event.
That was awesome. I was so impressed when we were in Mundial. Oh my God, just to hear even the lady from the States, you know, acknowledging their territory there in Washington, D.C. I was like, wow. I said, wow, it is a new day. It's a start. Well, it's a really good start.
It definitely steps, and you know, this anniversary series is acknowledgement of you and your hard work and everybody else who's come to support you. It's been a fantastic partnership for us to finally kind of you know, get it on. I think we were clear in explaining to people that this was supposed to be one big show, and it became a series, and everybody's getting paid. The Canada Council's funds have come through to get to the artists, and that's you know, thanks to them. You know, tune in. There's a few more Fridays where you can see not just Elaine and I chatting here, but a nice little concert at 8 o'clock.
Yes, that's awesome. Can I give a couple shout outs?
Go nuts.
I want to say Sego Ani to my Bomberry family, the Bomberry John Kiwakundo Patch, 4th line, and also to the Porter clan. We miss you all so much. We miss our families so much. It's been over a year since we've been home, and I just want to send all my love to everyone, and just thank you all for watching, and please tell everyone about Rez Blues next Friday with Parafay. You're not going to be disappointed. This woman, to me, I don't say this very often, but to me, she's the best female vocalist on all of Turtle Island, if you ask me. She's my #1 girl, Parafay. Woo!
I'm a big fan too. You probably remember that we brought Eulalie to Toronto during the WOMAD Festival, and I saw her there, and we've stayed in touch, and I got to see her. You were talking about Paris and your trip there. One time coming through from a conference, I saw a poster for her doing a show, and we got to see her performing in Paris. There was tons of folks. There we go. She's living in Saskatchewan these days, I'm pretty sure.
Married. She's all married, and she lives in Beauval, Saskatchewan, of all things. So just before she moved up there, she's gonna hate me for saying this, but parfait, I'm saying this story. We were at the same show in Ganawagi. Was it Ganawagi? Yeah, Ganawagi. And she was telling me about meeting Max and everything. And she's thinking of moving up there. And she goes, "Is it cold in northern Saskatchewan?"
She was in the Carolinas, wasn't she?
Yes, she's in North Carolina. She goes, she had no idea, well, how big of a coat should she need and everything. And then she came to Mundial, remember? And she had her whole skidoo suit on. She got used to Canadian cold really quick. Parfait, you can kill me. You can get me back anytime.
When I saw her in Paris, she had a film that she used to accompany her concert, and it was educating the Parisian folks about the reality of Indigenous culture. And I don't know if, there's a lot of crap going on right now with the conflicts that are happening in Nova Scotia, and there's still a lot of work to do and a lot of tension, but music is a great thing to kind of bridge people, and it's been fantastic for the TBS to be able to work with you. I mean, do you feel how do you view it as in terms of it being a bridge between cultures and people?
Oh, definitely. Music is the bridge, right? And that's how you can educate and enlighten people and make people understand what you're going through. Whenever there's a big issue going on in the world, what happens? There's a big concert, right? To raise money and all of that. And I think that's something that as Indigenous people, I think we need to do a little bit more on that end to help raise money for our struggles through that. Right now in my home territory, there's a big land struggle, 1492 land back. People are getting arrested like crazy. It's unreal. And Tom Wilson from Junk House, and he's just came back to the community. He didn't know he was Indigenous all those years, right? And wrote that book, wrote his beautiful book. And he went to the Rez. He played a couple weeks ago with Derek Miller. They did a concert right on the site. But then he went back last week, and he got arrested for delivering groceries to the site. It's like, this is 2000 and what is it, 2020? This shit's still happening. It's we try as hard as we can to let people know what we're going through, but until we get more support too as well, that can only help, with getting our message out there to the people. And I just have hope. That's all I can say, I guess.
We have to acknowledge that it is based in racism and hatred and some really negative things that have to be addressed and acknowledged, and we have to correct those things. And you're right. I think music is a good solution for us, and it's fantastic that you've been able to do the work that you've done. I think Huma sent us a note here that we're probably ready to wrap up because we hit the clock, but we've covered a lot of territory. And
it's like just having a personal conversation. It's like, oh, there's other people watching.
Well, and those who aren't watching tonight, I sent notes out to a number of people on Facebook. They can catch this in the future. Maybe Huma, you could come on and help clarify where people can tune in the future if they missed tonight.
Hello, hi back.
No, I'll throw my shirt back up again.
Gabby Guts. Oh, wait. I want to show my earrings. These are the beautiful earrings that Shoshona gifted me in New Orleans.
Nice.
Anyway, all right.
So while I put on the comment section on the Facebook for people to catch up later on, so the YouTube playlist has been shared now on Facebook. I will go ahead and share afterwards as well. So people can definitely watch. If they missed some of the shows at the Rez Blues series, you can go ahead and check out our YouTube channel, Toronto Blue Society. And then you will see all the videos and all the online events that we were doing during the pandemic and before that, Maple Blues Awards videos and all that stuff. And for Rez Blues, the videos are still available on Facebook as well. So if you're more comfortable watching them on Facebook, you can definitely find them on the Toronto Blue Society Facebook page as well. If you go under the video section, that might be easier. So I think that's it. And I just wanted to say thank you to both of you for being here. It was really, I think, you know, Elaine, I agree, it was a really intimate conversation. Really, it was more like in a room.
Like we were on the phone, right, Derek?
Hey, Elaine, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on there, Derek?
I'll just take pause and explain to anybody watching that the lovely lady who's just joined us with the logos in the background is Humut Lister, the general manager of the Toronto Blue Society, who keeps everything together and is there answering emails and phone calls and helping the Maple Blues Awards roll along, which we're going to be doing in February. And she's working with the board on all our projects and helping the Rez Blues concert series roll along every Friday.
Thank you, Yuma.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you all. And then I think the only other thing I was going to say that we have actually another event happening just next Wednesday before Purafe, which is, so we're doing this early access for the new Miss Emily album called Live at the Isabel. So this is a very special link to TBS members and followers only. So make sure to subscribe to our e-news or follow us and like us on our social media channels to be able to receive this special early access link. And as mentioned before, Purafe is going to be our next artist for the Rez Blues series, so don't miss that as well. 8 p.m. Eastern Time next Friday. And I think that's it for me as well. And we hope you enjoyed the interview. Otherwise, I think we wish you a happy weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Love you guys. Be safe.
Good
Wear a
night.
mask.
Take care.